man.
Do you want me to start the timer or?
How much time are you going to give us this time? The regular 4 hours?
I always set it for 30 minutes and
Yeah.
then I time it so it goes off when you're talking about something deeply personal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that gives me enough time to really get into my feels. So
I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now that I do have my parking meter to fool with shortly.
okay, that's fine. We were recently in a town, Danielle and I were, and we were walking by, and this sweet elderly man turned around in front of a parking meter, and he said, "Sir, do you know if I need to put money in on the weekend?" I said, I don't have any idea. I'm sorry. And a local was walking by, and he said, "It should tell you." I was like, that is, I feel like you know the answer, so you could just give him a yes or no. He really took it as a teaching moment, though, which was interesting.
Where were you said?
We were in Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, we were
Oh.
in Cleveland for the weekend, and we were in, specifically when this happened, we were just a block up from our Cleveland office over there in the Lakeland area. So over on the whole west side, Westlake, Lakeland, all the stuff was at the West Side Market. We're really locals when it comes to Cleveland. The land, as I like to refer to it.
The what is this? What do they call it about being on the water? Like, or what did we say? What'd you say? I don't know.
God,
Okay.
who knows?
Well,
Our
did you
northern shore is what I like to refer to it as.
yeah,
North Coast.
the north coast of Ohio, right?
Absolutely.
Did you see any Cleveland Browns around?
No, man, we looked everywhere. You don't get a lot of celebrity spottings in Cleveland, like say you would Chicago or New York.
Right.
But we did see, we ran into the Avett brothers. We ran into the Avett brothers. We bought a ticket and went to their show.
Right.
And we didn't get any closer than a couple of rows from them, but
That's pretty close.
it was awesome. Yeah, the show was cool.
That is proven to be the best way to see a celebrity.
It's a guarantee. It's like going to, if you go to Animal Kingdom at Disney World, if you really have your heart set on seeing a giraffe, there's several ways to do it. But to go to one where they're trapped and you pay admission, you're guaranteed to see one. So same with celebrities.
The Avett brothers weren't trapped, though.
No, I felt like they were there on their own free will. So
Okay. Well, the Cleveland crew, Lauren and Brian, are going to be on the show in a few weeks.
yeah, I believe they're bringing Erica down for that as well. So we'll have 100% of the Cleveland team in town, I believe.
Are we going to have will all of us be able to fit around?
I told the crew just to, if we didn't have mics, just to yell. So
If not, I can get out of the shot.
no. We'll want you to stay in. I think we're going to do, if I'm not mistaken, on that episode, we're going to do like some NFL predictions. We're going to talk heavy into the season. Yeah, go ahead.
What it's about to start in what, 2 weeks?
Yeah. I saw
1 week?
last night. 11 nights is what they said last night during the preseason game that I watched. So
Well, let's not talk about it then. If we're going to do the
Yeah.
prediction show, okay. All
in
right.
jail they call that 11 wake ups. Yeah, 10 sleeps and a wake up is what they would call that. So if you're ever on the inside, 11 days is 10 sleeps and a wake up. I'd ask people how much. I was a nurse. I should clarify that. I was a nurse in the jails. And that's really important.
Yeah.
Again, speaking about being there on your own free will. Yeah, I'd ask like, hey, how much time you got? And they'd be like 10 sleeps and a wake up. I'm like, that's a interesting way of keeping track, but I got you.
10 sleeps. Okay, yeah.
So
I mean, it checks out math-wise. I used to go to jails a lot too when I worked as an attorney.
yeah. How'd that go for you?
It was poor. I didn't enjoy it very much because
see.
it was a little bit dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had some pretty rough days in there. The days where you had to take your tie off before you go in for fear of, your new client that you're just meeting for the first time might try to choke you to death with it.
Yeah. I was surprised. Our medical unit was adjacent to the visitors areas for, because you have like your outside visitors that would come in and they would have their own area. But the legal counsel rooms was across from our medical unit. And I guess being naive to the process of litigation and criminal law, I thought everyone was always happy to see their attorney. That proved to not be the case. There was a lot of negative comments around that sometimes. So.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, especially if so. A lot of times I would become their attorney after they had already been put there.
Oh,
And so I would be working on their appeal. Generally, now you're talking like prison,
yeah.
not just being held in jail. And I did that a few times. That's serious, as you would know. I mean, that you get taken in and the dogs go around you as you're seated in a room to make sure you're not bringing anything in. But yeah, there have been more than once where the guard was supposed to keep an eye on me through the hole in the interview, the interrogation room where I'm meeting with my client, because they're just a known, really serious risk. And things would start to get really tense, like tearing clothes on stuff, and I would look over and there would be nobody there.
Sure.
That wasn't that fun.
Yeah.
And
well,
then, I was also, I would also kind of, tell me if you ever felt like this. Sometimes I would feel kind of guilty that I was about to get to leave and just go do whatever I wanted for the whole weekend. And this person who, I mean, I didn't always know if they did it or not, has to stay in jail.
Yeah.
And I kind of, sometimes I might like them. I would feel bad. Like, I'd feel like guilty about myself. Like, how could I possibly leave here and go have a fun camping trip this weekend while this person has to stay here?
Yeah.
Kind of bothered. I don't know if I deserve to feel that way or not, but it crept in. You ever feel anything like that?
One of the weirdest feelings that I had was our parking area faced the jail, and they held like 650 inmates there, and they were usually at capacity. And I remember I would go out to my car on like a Friday night to go home, and like the lights would be off, but you could see like the corridor lights and stuff. And I just remember one time I like started my vehicle and I just kind of sat there and kind of like decompressed for a second before I made the drive home. And I kind of looked there and I was like, man, there's like 650 lives that are just paused there right now. Like not weighing like innocence and guilt and the severity of their crimes, all that stuff. Like you can fall wherever you want on those things. But it was just so weird that like 650 humans were just locked in that building and were not coming out. Their lives were just for their families, for everyone. Again, I'm not saying anything about their situation, just the fact that it was such a weird, it was always. Now, I will say everyone was innocent that was in there. Even after they took plea deals, and I was like, you told me you were innocent. I'm a nurse. Why would you lie to me? That was interesting. I learned a lot about just humans during that time. That's,
For sure.
Yeah.
That you have to really just be extremely aggressive and frank and profane to even begin to sort of get some truth with some of them. Some of them like that at all. And some of the ones that I described, like how I'd feel a little bit guilty about, would be like you're saying, they're just paused. They haven't even had a hearing yet. They just got arrested and put in here.
Right.
And a couple, I was legitimately like, this isn't right. And they hadn't even gotten to a point with a hearing, let alone before a magistrate judge, or a trial or anything. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of rough. I mean, I don't.
I got tackled in jail once.
Did you?
I wish the story was more brave than it was. I was doing
playing football?
No, I was doing a med pass, and a lady that was no bigger than 5'2", no more than 110 pounds, wanted the medication I was passing. The medication I had was not going to help her. It was going to help with diarrhea, but she thought it was something else. And as she was making her way back towards the holding cell, she blindsided me, and me and her tumbled to the ground together. And then we got tangled up. I wasn't trying to fight her. They have guards for that. I just wanted off the floor of the jail as quickly as possible. But I then realized that they were screaming they were going to pepper spray her, and me and her were entangled as one in this moment.
Oh, no.
And so I'm yelling, please don't. Please don't pepper spray me. They didn't. Thank God they did get us separated. But yeah, it was a real jailhouse fight that we had.
What kind of hit did she deliver? Honestly, did it hurt at all?
No, it caught me off balance. So when I went down, we went down together. So she was just rushing for the meds that I had, thinking she could grab them real fast.
Okay.
So she didn't like punch at me or anything. I did get locked in a cell one time during a fight. I'd went in to treat someone that was having a medical situation, and a fight broke out inside the unit, and they secured the cell while I was in there. It was me, a pregnant female nurse, and then 2 inmates, and we were locked in a cell about the size of this table together for about 10 minutes during this fight. And so that was the one time I've actually been incarcerated. That was pretty wild. Yeah. So that was a good time.
That
was the first time I nearly died. Would you like to hear about the second time I nearly died?
Yeah.
I had a kidney stone recently. Yes.
I've never had one. I understand it's the most painful thing basically you can go through as a man.
I don't want to find out if that's number 2 on the list. I would rather not find out what number 1 is. I don't want to overstate the situation, but at some point in the middle of the night, I did have, the timing was bad. I had done some traveling with my cousin, which I think was pretty well documented on the podcast while I was gone. Oh, you still have my letters. Yeah, so for the regular listener, I was able to, we have a great policy here where occasionally we're able to request some time off and you can do some traveling with a family member. I travel with my cousin, but immediately around that same time, I suffered a very unexpected kidney stone attack.
Look, before we get into the kidney stone, look how real those look. Did I do a good job or what?
You did.
Those stamps actually just say for deposit only or like our address. It wasn't like, I didn't mail them.
No, I love it.
I did waste stamps.
That's okay. Small price to pay for quality.
I'm going to give these to you as a souvenir. You know what's crazy, man? A lot of people asked me, like, they thought this was real.
Yeah. For the record.
Would you like to talk about this?
Well, for the record, it's important that people know, although I am not incredibly wealthy, I have not done any of my travel to a YMCA room rental with my cousin. That's important to know.
So these were letters based off the Andy Griffith Show, of course.
Yeah.
Whenever Don Knotts would take a vacation on the show, the way that they would explain why Barney wasn't on this episode was always traveling down in Raleigh.
Yeah.
He'd always get a room at the Y and really live it up. Now, the one thing I will say that you did write, though, is that poem to Danielle.
Yes, yeah, I did. And I was, when I wrote that, obviously we were expecting to shoot a podcast that week. Thank you. And so we were, we had everything on schedule to do that. And then I woke up in the middle of the night with what I thought to be a life-threatening situation. And so then it went south in a hurry. I ended up hospitalized as a result of it. And you guys, everyone at Village Caregiving was so awesome during that period. And because it was happening at a time that I was heavily medicated and not well, how you guys decided to handle the privacy of my health condition, I appreciate by formulating such a plan as this. But I did have a couple moments of clear thought where you allowed me to write a poem for Danielle, which I thought was super sweet.
Yeah, it's based on a poem that Barney wrote on the show, but you had to substitute some of your own lines there about Danielle. And I thought, I'm not writing a poem to another man's wife. He's going to have to lucidly write this from his hospital bed because I'm drawing the line there.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was.
You know what was funny? On Brandon's episode, whenever he's the only person of those four that's just like, because he's got that kidney stone.
Yeah.
And I really quickly go, but that's not why he's not here today. And he was so confused because he didn't know what I was going to do. And you look at his face and he goes, it isn't. Like question, statement.
Yeah.
It isn't. Yeah, go back and watch it. Maybe put it up real quick. I got a laugh out of it. He was like, what is this guy talking about?
There's been a lot of kidney stone jokes thrown around.
Oh, okay.
So, because it's all...
He had a kidney stone, but that's not why he's not here right now.
That isn't.
He's traveling with his cousin Virgil right now. He's been on vacation in Raleigh.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's writing us every week.
Well, one of my favorite parts of the whole podcast was when you were reading the letter when Mike DeRose was the guest. And the camera had just a good shot of Andy Hess during this letter. And the level of confusion, yet engagement that he showed.
That was funny. Brazil, where they roll up the sidewalks every night. Ha ha. Last night was really wild.
But yeah, so that's what's been going on with me. By the way, I'm back. I'm healthy. I'm clear. Everything's good. A lot of folks at Village Caregiving. Yeah, thanks.
Look at that. It's like Ruth walking back into Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, huge.
You had really, no joke, went through it though. I don't know how much you want to get into it, but when you get full on hospitalized, then it is not easy for you.
Well, they say that nurses make really bad patients, and it wasn't that I was a bad patient. I was a very grateful, kind. Everyone would want me to be their patient because I didn't need anything. I was very good about that. But I was just always adamant that I was getting better, even though the labs and my condition continued to deteriorate.
Yeah.
So I was so hard-headed that I went a whole week thinking I was making progress when I wasn't. Then I went to my primary care physician, and they were adamant that if my labs came back at a certain level, I had to go to the hospital. Well, those labs came back after hours, and I was like, oh, they're not that bad. And everyone around was like, you really need to go. So the next day, the doctor's office calls, like, we're hoping you're in the hospital right now. I was like, oh, no, give me till the afternoon. And I was still so adamant that when I went to the ER, I took a book and my cell phone charger. I took no clothes, no anything. And it was bad enough that the ER attending came back and was like, you're not leaving, right? And I was still telling Danielle, like, don't come. They're going to get me out of here. And I ended up having to have a surgical intervention occur. I spent my first night in the hospital as a patient, which was really exciting. It was great, top to bottom. They did a fantastic job. But when I came out of my procedure, it required general anesthesia. I come back to the room. And if you've had general anesthesia, you know that I don't know how much time went by, what felt like a couple moments, probably an hour or so. But I come back to the room, and in the hospital room was this beautiful flower arrangement. And from my good friend Penny,
Yeah.
the Bernie doodle that lives with you and Sarah, right? And it was wishing me well. And the lady that brought me back to the room said something about, oh, those are beautiful flowers. Who's that from? And they're like, it says it's from Penny. I said, that is a great dog. And I know that woman thinks that I was out of it, but I wasn't.
That's funny. You remember it.
Yeah, Penny did send me flowers. So
Was that the first time you ever had been overnight in a hospital?
yeah,
before?
I'd never been admitted before.
I don't think I have either, now that you say that.
Yeah. When my dad, a couple years ago, my dad had a major health issue, and he got admitted to the hospital. And they asked him that night, and Dad's at this point probably 71, 72. They said, when was the last time you spent the night in the hospital? He said, the night I was born. And so, unfortunately, my dad made it basically twice as long as I did, which I was pretty bummed by. I mean, I'm happy he had good health, but I did not anticipate.
How many nights were you there?
I was there for just one night. It was going to be 2 nights, but I had good luck, and they had a surgery suite available unexpectedly, and they were able to get me in that afternoon. So
One sleep and a wake up?
yeah, one sleep and a wake up, and I got out of there.
Yeah,
I made some deals too. I said, if you'll let me out of here, I promise I'll be good.
You probably did. Yeah. I had anesthesia I've several times. I've had a few procedures. I've just never had to stay overnight. But one time it was just for my wisdom teeth. I had all 4 of them removed. And I was still obviously totally out of it. I didn't know what was going on. But I was told, and I still had on my gown.
Oh, no.
Blood is pouring out.
Sure.
It looks like a horror movie, just covered in blood.
Yeah.
And they tried to keep me in the room. My mom was there, I think. Maybe you could chime in on this, Mom. And I just started running around the little oral surgery center, going into every room where they were about to go back and going, ah!
Oh, no.
Like, yeah.
Oh,
what a
no.
horrific thing. You can't blame me. I didn't even know I was doing it.
How old do you think you were?
I was older, 25. I don't know.
Okay. Old enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
I was gone.
Let me ask you this. Again, this is a hypothetical, but if they offered general anesthesia not for surgical purposes, just for
To get high?
no. Isn't
To
it
take a
interesting-
nap?
Yeah,
Well,
isn't it interesting, number one, that they don't even know why it works?
That's crazy.
They have no idea.
It's actually
why it
scary.
works. Yeah, but we know it works. And I think I've heard you say before, it's the highest level of sleep that a human can get. Like, there's a level of rest that comes with general anesthesia.
The best part, though, is the rest you get when you get home,
Oh.
and it's still sort of in there, and you
Yeah.
just lay in bed, and I'm going to read this book, and then,
Yeah,
oh, it's so good.
off you go.
You know what? You're selling me on this. I would,
See?
yeah.
Okay.
I would take some.
It's something to think about, is all I'm saying.
But what
Yeah.
about the one time that I don't wake up?
Well,
I go to heaven. I mean,
what if you're up there and they're like, how did you get here? And you're like, well, they offer general anesthesia for rest purposes. They said, whatever you do, don't do it more than once a month. And it was my third time this week.
Right.
Um,
I got addicted to it. And it's the only way that I could fall asleep
Yeah.
was general anesthesia.
yeah, and I did it. I'm now sleeping too well.
What do they put in you anyway to make you fall asleep?
Well, it's a mixture of drugs.
Is it that much different than just taking drugs?
I think so.
Okay, I don't know what the chemical makeup of it is.
Yeah, you know what would be fun if we had? I think you guys know someone that does this for a living, right?
An anesthesiologist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't we get them down one day and get some feedback from them? A couple questions. Sir, would you recommend or would you suggest we not participate in recreational anesthesia?
We could ask him why it works.
Yeah.
Let's get to the bottom of this.
I have more questions than answers at this point, is for sure a thing.
Would you recommend? Well, there's only so many ways to go to sleep, right?
Yeah.
You can fall asleep,
Which is probably the preferred method.
general anesthesia,
Yep.
hit over the head with a shovel,
Unconsciousness. Suffocation.
strangling to like a chokehold. Clearly, it's
wait,
either
hold on. We forgot. Hypnotism.
hypnotism.
Yep.
Doesn't work. I don't think it works.
What if we brought on a specialist for each category? A sleep specialist, a strangulation specialist.
A guy with a shovel.
I know a couple of guys that you represented.
I can make some calls. Yeah, they'd be willing to do it. Does hypnotism work?
I personally have not been hypnotized. I think if I remember right, you told me one time that you tried to be, much like the ghost situation, you lean into it.
I want to be to see if it works, but
Yeah.
I've never had anyone actually try it. I've been at places where they will say volunteers, and then I'm the first one. I run up there.
Yeah.
But they always like pick a few people that aren't me, which makes me wonder, are these plants in the crowd
Right.
or is this real? Maybe it works on some people and not others. I don't know. I don't want to besmirch the practitioners of hypnotism
Yeah.
out there.
But,
It might
but
work.
for the record, if I did find a practicing hypnotic agent and brought them on
Oh.
the show, you would be down.
Dude, yes, that's a great idea.
It is
Get a
very-
hypnotist in here, and I'll finally get my wish.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, I'll start barking like a dog
Yeah.
and all kinds of stuff, and you can control me the rest of my
Bring him
life.
back out of it.
Right.
And then I could say grape soda and out you go again.
Just tell him to keep me like that forever.
I will, yeah, for sure. I'll be like, trust me, we have it on recording. He wants this. Do not
I'll tell
bring
you what, honestly, no joke, even though I believe this is complete horse.
Oh God.
The fact that we're talking about like that could happen and maybe works got me a little bit worried about doing it.
You're all talk till I bring Gary in here,
Right,
and you're
just-
like, well, no.
Just on the off chance. Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's something to look into. I'm gonna do some Google searches after we leave. So
Okay, what else?
yeah, man. I mean, look, number one, I almost had to use, you remember how you used to print out MapQuest printable directions back in the day? I almost had to print MapQuest to come back down here. It's been forever since we've been on the studio together, right? This is a big deal.
I know. It's month and a half?
Yeah.
2 months.
I was out forever. I mean, it's a
Sorry.
wonder you didn't fire me. Let me ask this. Was there a time during my absence where you thought we just need to move on?
No.
Okay. All right.
I did. I looked at a few of our policies and procedures.
Yeah, no, that's fine. You probably had a lot of pressure from Zach. Zach's a real by the books type guy.
Right. How long were you out though? Like 2 weeks?
So
It wasn't that long.
it was so bad. The first week I was not functional. Okay. For anyone that hasn't had a kidney stone, they give you some medications to help you pass it, but they mainly just give you medications to help you suffer through it. All right. And I'm not a person that has been exposed to a lot of medications. So, I was not in a situation while under medical care where I was going to be very functional for
Yeah,
anyone.
Right.
I did take a couple phone calls at a couple points where I'm like, boy, I hope that was a good advice, because we were trying to just, you just every day, you just want it to be normal.
Yeah.
And so I would get up in the morning prepared to come to work, and I just couldn't do it. So like that week went by, and then that was like a Tuesday through a Friday. I just had to work from home best I could. But I'm going to be honest with you. If you guys want to take some of my payback, I get it. I didn't do much that week because I wasn't awake a lot.
I don't think we can do that legally.
Okay. Yeah. And then the following week,
You could donate it to the VCG Foundation we're starting.
That's what I was thinking about, making that an option as well. We'll check with Danielle on that. But then week 2 before the procedure, I got up that Monday morning adamant I was coming to work. And I came to work, and so I had to quit taking medication so I could come to work the night before. And I came to work, and about to work, I had realized I'd made a mistake.
I heard about this day that you just laid on the couch, and everybody was like, "He's dying."
Yeah.
Why is he here?
Ben asked me a question about the RJ report, and I couldn't get there. Not because of medication, pain and confusion. It was a mess.
Well, you were nearly delirious.
Yeah, come to find out that night, my labs were very, very high. So I do have some excuse. Zach tried really hard to be kind to me. I tried to have a real conversation with him. He was like, "You got to get out of here."
What are you doing, man? I mean,
know.
the reason he ended up in the hospital, if this is too much, we'll edit it out. But they said that your creatine level was high enough that it was going to do permanent damage to your organs.
Yeah.
You're just resisting. You said earlier that you were so motivated. I'm getting better. Why were you so insistent that you're getting better? Because you didn't want to go to the hospital? Because you just wanted to be a tough guy and not admit it? Like, where was that coming from?
No, I wanted, after that week of being at home and being medicated and not being productive at all, I just desperately wanted my life to go back to normal. Like Danielle had to do like my part and her part with the kids and work and life was just so abnormal. I was just like, I can will myself back to health. Come to find out, I couldn't.
That's important to know because a lot of times people will tell you can't.
Yeah. It was not a pull yourself up by the bootstraps moment. It was your ureter is blocked, and until urine flows through that, you're not going to be able to make good thoughts. So, yeah.
Wasn't that in the Notebook where at the end they decided to just lay down and die together?
I
don't think you can do that.
No.
Or was that a different movie?
No, that was definitely the Notebook. I don't know they decided to die, though.
Maybe one of them was going to die and the other one decided, I'll go with you. I don't think that works like that.
I hope not.
I can't say much more because I'll tell you, I ask a lot of times, what's your favorite movie during interviews or this podcast? That's a very, very frequent answer.
Way up there.
So I'm just joking. That you can totally do that.
It's Ryan Gosling's second best work, of course, just behind the Barbie movie. But those two, I mean, neck and neck right there.
I am a big Ryan Gosling fan. Now you watch it, pal.
Yeah. So where would you rank the Barbie movie at on his work list?
It's good. It's up there.
He did a great job. La La Land.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite ever. Ryan Gosling doesn't make a whole lot that's not great.
Mm-mm. Well, so I mean, that's about what's been going on in my life, Jeff. And of course, all the listeners tune in just to find out what you and I have been doing.
I figured so.
Yeah. What's been going on over in your world, man?
Oh, I'm actually at work.
Wow.
Just kidding. I'm actually not at work. I don't think I was there the entire 2 weeks, actually. It was during vacation months, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what is new in my world? I got a new car. I don't ever buy things.
You have not bought a vehicle since I've come to work at this company. This is my 5-year anniversary, by the way.
Yeah, I think I've only bought like only 1 or 2 cars since I worked there. I don't spend money on that.
Yeah.
It's not, I like to travel a lot and I go to events or games and get tickets and stuff, but I've never been a guy that gets like a lot of toys.
Yeah.
And this was sort of a toy purchase.
Well, and I'm sure, I'm visual. So
people that are listening right now are like, "Oh gosh, what did he get? Something a Ferrari?
Right. Is it a Lotus? Is it a Ferrari?
Right.
Is it the new Corvette?
He said a toy.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, all right, well, it could be. Maybe he's American Muscle, so it's probably a Mustang. What did you end up getting?
I got a little Mini Cooper convertible. It's like driving a go-kart around. I love it.
Where did the passion for the Mini come from?
I rented one whenever, I think it was the same time, maybe we were gone at the same time in Croatia. And it's a lot of coastline driving, so I just wanted a convertible. The weather was going to be perfect. And they gave me this little Mini Cooper. And I fell in love with that little guy.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even home yet. I started searching on the internet after about day 8 or 9 of driving this car. I was sad. I was going to miss it. This little fella, hey,
Sure.
he had like little eyeball looking headlights.
They do.
And
You
I
can
had
put
to,
little eyelashes on them. I've seen people do that before.
Really?
Yeah.
well, I called and I found, man, they're hard to find. Actually, brand new and in America. And the kind I kind of wanted that's not in a color that's just insane. So Rachel, my daughter, was just begging me to get zesty yellow,
Oh, wow.
which is kind of cool. But I'm just not sure I could have driven that to work and lived down the teasing I would have taken. Could you
Yeah.
imagine?
I have some ideas, but continue.
So I was searching for like a black one or some kind of neutralish color. And there were hardly any of them. There was like one in Hawaii, 2 in Portland, and 1 in Virginia Beach. So I said, well, I guess I'm getting that one.
Yeah.
So I called Virginia Beach and I said, hey, I really like this little car. It costs nothing. I mean, brand new, top of the line thing. You're talking like 30-some thousand bucks. So I just said, hey, I want to buy this car. I'm not going to haggle with you too much on the price. I do have one condition, though. I want this thing to be at my house when I get home in a week. The lady says, in Virginia Beach, where do you live? I said, Barbersville, West Virginia. It's
Yeah.
about 7 hours away. She thought about it. She said, I can do that. I said, excellent.
Wow.
They lived up to it. When I
Yeah.
got home, there was a little miniature go-kart sitting there.
There he was.
And I loved that little thing.
What
I
do
put
you-
a Croatian license plate on the front of it.
Yeah.
I had a custom made, $10 on the internet license plate holder for the back. It's got a phrase in Croatian that has a special meaning to me. It's my little Croatian buddy.
Wow. How similar is it to the little friend you made over there? Like, do you feel like it's its brother?
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. You gave me the pleasure of driving it one day. We went to
yeah.
the bank, and you let me speed around below the speed limit, of course, because. But it was a lot of fun. I could definitely see why you enjoyed it. So is it the same whipping through the back roads of West Virginia as it is through the back roads of Croatia?
Yeah, pretty much. Croatia's a lot like West Virginia anyway.
Yeah.
Actually, it's one of the reasons I probably resonate with it so much. In terms of both the people and the terrain and the windy roads and mountains and different stuff. But yeah, I drove that thing home from church Sunday. I must have set a new record on this little road because
Oh, no.
I wasn't even going that fast necessarily, but this road is like straight up, just
Yeah.
curve. You don't have to slow down because it doesn't throw you around the car. It is literally like you're in a bumper car with your kid at like a little amusement park. If you turn, it just goes, and there's no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's like
What-
you're on a little test track again.
What people would see as they pass you is 2 eyeballs as headlights and the biggest smile they've ever seen on a fellow's face.
Yeah.
You know, just living your best life.
I love it.
at that.
I have no regrets.
Yeah.
At all.
What do you think the percentage is of people that have driven a rental car and had one, that same model, waiting on them when they got home? Do you think that's very high? It's a good way to sell cars, you think?
I bet it's made people want to buy that car
Yeah.
if they like it a lot. I don't know about waiting on them when they get home. My fear was that it was so impulsive. If I didn't just go ahead and do it, I would just let
I
it
know.
slide by and never do it. And
Yeah.
I knew myself, because again, I don't really buy things like that.
Yeah.
I was like, I am going to get a lot of enjoyment in my life out of this little thing. I'm going to make myself do this right now. Stop thinking so much about it and just do it, because it wasn't expensive at all.
Right.
But I did keep my truck. I'm not sure I'm ready yet for that to be my only vehicle. You know, if the snow comes, we're not taking the Mini off
No,
my
you're
hill.
in big trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in a sled,
Yeah.
literally.
I'll come
That could
get
be
you.
fun.
Well,
Yeah, the timer went off on me for once.
I know. Right in the middle of a heartfelt Croatian story.
Was there anything else we needed to talk about before we go get tore down drunk?
Oh, no, we're not
Just
doing
kidding,
that. We're,
kidding. I am kidding. Is there anything else we need to talk about?
I don't think so. I mean, did the Olympics turn out how you thought they would? We haven't been here for our annual Summer Olympics recap that we've had every year that we've been on.
We did pretty well. America.
Yeah.
That's who I call we. I don't know who you're
No,
rooting for.
yeah. Says the Croatian. Continue on.
Fair. I do root for them also. Yeah, I thought it looked pretty good on TV. I didn't get to watch as much of it as I would have liked, but man, the one that stuck out to me amongst many things though was the final that basketball game where we won the gold medal.
Yeah.
And Steph Curry went from being an all-time great player to one of the very, very best all-time great players in my mind. Those final 4 threes were like so ridiculous. And it's the one hole, or actually he didn't have a hole in his resume, did he? Had he won a gold medal before? I'm blanking now. Yeah, I think he did maybe. But anyways, I always looked at Steph as a greatest shooter of all time, but maybe not quite like a Jordan, LeBron type of.
He just didn't have it.
Well, maybe it's the fact that he's smaller, viewed as more one-dimensional. I don't know what.
Yeah.
But really, really great. Like on that level of a maybe Bird, Magic, just below the top tier guys, or maybe even one notch below that. And so he made that first 3. As I watched that, it was like, oh wow, I have to rethink everything about this dude now. It was like I was so happy for him that he was just that's Disney movie stuff.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I've never been that big a fan, but not a hater either. He's fine.
Right.
But it made me like him so much more. Like that was true greatness on display.
Have you seen him play live before?
No,
You think you will?
I don't think so.
Before?
I don't know. I'd love to.
Okay, I didn't know if it was.
I'm going to start wearing my New York Knicks gear as we get closer into fall.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Big Knicks guy now.
Huge Knicks guy.
Well, probably always have been.
Well, it's recent.
Okay.
Here's what happened. Of course, I go to New York a lot.
Yeah.
And going to the NBA, that is one of the real sports where if you're there in person, it is just so much more fun to me anyway than just television because those guys are insanely athletic. The court is tiny too.
Look, when we went to United Center, me and Will watched the Bulls play, and I'm like, they need to make this court bigger. These guys are twice my size. They're getting bored on this little court.
They can run down the court in like 6 steps.
Yeah.
Because they're so huge.
It's massive.
You know how small a basketball court is? I was thinking, if you put it, like Google this, and it'll show you the size of a soccer field, a football field, a hockey rink, a basketball court. A basketball court fits inside of the penalty box of a soccer field, just on one in front of the goal.
Really?
You can put the entire basketball court in that. It's not a lot of space.
They need to make it bigger.
And these athletic monsters are just – so when you're watching that live, I love going to Knicks games. But what I messed up on, I'm an Islanders fan, right? Okay, I go to New York. I want to go out to the Isles game. Well, they play way out Long Island. Dude, it's an hour-and-a-half ride to get out there.
Who could have you been fans for?
I could have just been a Rangers fan. They play in Madison Square Garden. I screwed it up.
It's not too late to switch.
Right. And I'm a Buffalo Bills fan.
Yeah.
Not in New York. It's actually closer from where we are sitting in Huntington to Buffalo, New York, than it is from New York City to Buffalo, New York. Now, just let that blow your mind.
Did you not have an iPhone?
What?
You could have searched all of this before you became a fan.
Oh. Well, I know. So okay. You're helping me here.
Yeah.
I had one major sport left that I didn't necessarily have a team for.
Which is?
And now I said, this is my chance to not blow it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a Knicks fan. I'm going to get into it.
Yeah.
They play right in the middle of the city. I'm not going to have to do a 2-hour car ride or 6 hours to Buffalo. I'm also an Atlanta Braves fan. I don't get to Atlanta all that often.
No.
But I'm going to get this one right. I'm all in on the Knicks.
Really?
That's all I think about are the Knicks.
I was talking to you. I was like, who is Nick? You just kept talking about this Nick guy.
Listen, they're loaded too, okay? Brunson near MVP level. Randall's coming back from injury. Re-signed OG Anunoby.
Oh, my gosh.
Hart, DiVincenzo,
They're all
back.
there.
Traded for Mikal Bridges from the Nets. Listen to this knowledge
We
I'm dropping
needed
about
him.
the Knicks.
Yeah.
We lost Isaiah Hartenstein.
That's okay.
But I think this is going to be – I'm going to be a good luck charm for
What
the
a
Knicks.
big year. And, everyone's following the NBA so closely anyways.
Do you know what I spend most of my day doing about now?
Talking about the Knicks.
And thinking about the Knicks.
You're ate up with it. Mm-hmm. Who's their big celebrity fan?
Spike Lee.
You're like the Spike Lee of Barbersville. I'm like, quit talking about the Knicks.
I need to get Knicks. Hold on a minute. Hold on just a minute.
Yeah? Have you got?
I normally don't put on hats for the podcast.
No, you never do. But A Knicks guy like yourself, you and Spike.
I'm all in, Spike.
Golly.
I can't wait to see you, buddy.
If I can't find you, I just look at Madison Square Garden. The Knicks must be in town.
I'm going to leave. That's all I can think about.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry to the employees of the company. This is a company podcast, but I got to let you know I'm going to be thinking about the Knicks
yeah.
pretty much all the time.
The cool part is if you're hard to buy for it, you won't be right now because we can get you a bunch of Knicks stuff.
Yeah. My birthday is coming up September 21st.
Yeah.
I could, any Knicks gear. Oh, this is not appropriate. Yeah, I'm joking around. Nobody get me anything. Unless you want. You know.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to send it back.
Okay. Well, it'll be basketball season soon enough.
Yeah. Oh, cool, man. Well, hey, it felt really good being back in the studio with you, back in good health, back now that we're, prime on the Knicks. It's probably not going to be Buffalo season this year, so we need to focus on what's coming next.
I'm very worried about the Bills, but I'm going to save that for the football episode.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Anything else you want to talk about before we go?
No, just glad to have you back to full health.
Well, I'm glad to be back. Thank you for being patient while I recovered. I owe you one. So if your health ever deteriorates, I'll stand by.
Did Danielle like your poem?
She did. She did. Actually, while we were in Cleveland, that was one of the things we were able to talk about was the. I don't believe, and we were talking about this, that in the history of our 17-year relationship, I had ever constructed a poem for her. So I think there was also some confusion about whether or not, because she knew secretly that I was not in Raleigh with my favorite cousin.
She was in the hospital room with you.
So she was kind of, I think, concerned that maybe you had written the poem with the rest of the letters.
That's why I didn't do it.
Yeah, no, I took credit for it though, so thank you. Yeah, it only helped our marriage. So
Yes. I did a good deed.
yeah. Well,
I'm
man,
good.
you don't have anything to drink, so I can't cheer you. Where's your empty bottle? All right, there it is.
It's a
One
few
sip.
drops. Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
We did it.
We're in.
We did it.